How's it going? Let's give people some time to come in here. Give people some time to come through. All right. Mm. Make sure you hit the like button upon coming in here. So let's roll out and let's get started. Man, look, this is why the history is important. Your own personal history. You have to find out the story, just like I did. I had to find out my mom and dad's story. They made sure that we understood it. They made sure that we understood the uncle story throughout the family. They made sure that we understood. Well, there were no aunts on my mother's side, but on my father's side, we had to learn about those families and we had to learn about the outcomes. So when you say these things about sometimes I just don't feel motivated to do one thing or another, you got to realize, man, that all the motivation to get up out of their circumstances has to do with your own relatives and their own history and their own story. Then from that story, you have to learn about the things that's going on around you, the politics of the area. How come y'all don't get funded for certain types of things? All that. All that stuff is still part of the history too. Because once you start putting these things into context, I'm talking about true context. You have to realize that all the motivation, you've already had it. It's just that you deliberately stayed away from the history because you thought it was embarrassing, because you thought it didn't put you in a good light, because you wanted to start off at the top. But that's not how not most stories work. Because a lot of people that I knew, middle class, had nothing to complain about, had food to eat, never had to go to the Mississippi River to go catch fish or any. Yeah, man, them dudes didn't have good outcomes. Why? They wasn't taught the value of work. They started off with everything, and starting off with everything don't give you the type of outcome you think it does. So yeah, I had to go through the same thing. But now, you as a young ass dude, because I'm talking to a younger dude here, dude, you got so much access to the productivity piece. It's crazy. I told this dude, how old are you? 21? How come you ain't got your CDL? Man, I don't know where to go to get it. Like, bro, here's 10 companies. They train you. You could be out of there next Monday. You got DUI? No DUI? All right, man, you can go learn how to drive. For real? Just like that? Yeah, just like that. They're going to give you a bus ticket. They're going to get you up out of there. They're going to have you around a whole bunch of people who's far older than you, and you all going to be learning how to drive. Those are chances that your father didn't have, your grandfather didn't have, and your great grandfather definitely didn't have. But a lot of these people think that, okay, I was born in a bad and a messed up situation. Says well, thanks for the $20 super sticker. Yes, Voc Rehab paid for my CDL. Yes, they did. The VA paid for my CDL. What's going on, Lewis Conyer, AO, Edmore Red Pill 81, Cedric Webb, First Class Kings? Yes. So I told this dude, like, man, listen, man, you went through a lot of bad things. A lot of those things you should have never went through. A lot of those people in your life should have never been anywhere close to you. Because he was telling me some personal things about things that happened. I'm like, yeah, man, bro, you got all the motivation in the world, without learning any history about anyone else to get your ass up out of that situation. It is your responsibility to make sure none of that shit that happened to you should happen to anyone else. All those circumstances that you've been through, you need to make sure that that shit doesn't happen to anybody else. Because when it's your time to choose, and you will get a chance to choose, because a lot of people only understand choice after they have nothing else to choose from. That's when they understand choice. That's when they understand happiness. Because that's the way it works. You're supposed to live in and within the moment, but it just don't work that way. A lot of this stuff you have to plan and execute rather than just experience and then just wonder where the time went. You don't have time for the deductive path because most of the stuff you're working toward is a false conclusion, especially if you're around a whole bunch of stagnant people. It's a false conclusion. It's false for a reason. All those people are in those neighborhoods and down at the bottom for a very specific reason. They was expecting somebody else to put in the work for them. Now, you had a good excuse. The excuse is good for a while, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to do something with those circumstances. And one of the worst things that you can do is end up here online talking about and complaining about circumstances that you have no idea of fixing, but you want to get your shit off in front of everybody. That's one of the worst things that you can do. Because if you want to know where we was 5 years ago, talking about the same shit now. Nobody took any action. What's going on, Wack World? What's going on, Spawn Program? What's going on, Jay Charles? But most of this stuff is deciding that this stuff is not going to happen around you. That's the first choice. The first choice that you make in this circumstance is how much of this stuff you're going to be compromised by. How much do you want these people love and respect and adulation? Because I'm going to tell you this, you're not going to be able to take this stuff into a new environment. I'm going to tell you straight up, straightforward. Like, for a long ass time, I used to thought, hey man, look, I ain't got no criminal background. I got a high school diploma. Everybody want to fuck with your boy. No, that wasn't the case. I had no skills that nobody wanted. Nobody gave a shit that I didn't have a criminal background. That's what's expected of you in society. However, where I'm from, that shit puts you ahead of about 95% of the people in that environment. You go somewhere else bragging about that shit, they think you insane. They're like, yeah, okay, and what about what kind of skills you got? How can you make this business better? Again, being raised down there, being socialized around a whole bunch of bullshit, only have a couple of voices of reason. Yeah, it's not your fault, but then it becomes your responsibility. What you gonna do when it's your turn? But the what you gonna do when it's your turn piece has become the woe is me because I'm down here piece. That's something that you got to get rid of pretty quick because those people are down there for a reason. You're either at the table or you're on the menu in those circumstances. In the bottom feeder class, those are the only two people that are there. Yes, I'm telling you up front. No matter where you go, you're still going to run into the same exact problems. That's why if you don't solve them in one instance and aspect, you're just going to run into them again in another instance and aspect. Yeah, everybody don't have a two-parent household to be born in. That's something that the people, that decision that they made before you got here, that's the decision that they made. However, when it becomes time for you to start choosing yourself, trying to be the best at the worst options is not going to be able to help you all that much. You think these women are stupid? You think they're giving their body away for you for nothing? No, they don't give a fuck about what they create out of their circumstance because their bets are going to be covered. Yours are not going to be covered. And by the time you know how important this freedom is that they try to socialize you out of, before you understand how valuable that freedom is, your ass is already caught up in child support court or baby mama drama. You got a couple of charges on you, and now you have to tell the entire planet that you couldn't handle your shit when it was time for you to make a choice because you wanted to live out this arc, because you wanted to try to make shit work with people that you've never seen it work with. Again, it's not your fault. Hey man, everybody's starting point really ain't their fault. Where they end up at is their responsibility. It's also your fault if you stay in bad circumstances by not understanding the area that you're in economically. I could have stayed in Mississippi. I had excellent reasons to complain about everything. Nothing fucking worked. Nothing worked. But at some point, it's my responsibility to be like, hey man, there's always a Memphis, there's always a Dallas, there's always an Atlanta. That's where everybody else is going. That's why everybody else is papering up, regardless of skill level. How come I'm not doing that? It doesn't take prison sentences or going through a whole bunch of drama or being forced into a corner or being forced to produce by having a child with somebody that you shouldn't be having a child with to have your shit together. Again, it's not your fault. But it becomes your responsibility. It becomes your obligation. That's why you have failures creating more failures. That's why you have a lot of people around here who just don't want to learn the history, don't want to notice how things are, don't want to be involved in society, don't want to make things better, don't want to do anything but hold the entire culture hostage because they're not going to benefit from collective change for everybody. And this is what this like. I tell people all the time, do you want to see change and you not personally benefit? Do you want to see change and you not personally benefit from it? Because that's the real question. That is the real question. What's going on, checking for you? What's going on, Agon? What's going on, D Rapper? But but that's the real question. That's always been the question. Do you want to see change but you not benefit and the environment get better? The obvious answer for most people is no. They're not going to tell you the answer is no because they're looking for these answers and solutions so that way they can get off the field. They don't want to be left behind. They don't want to be left in these circumstances that they created for themselves. I seen these people kicking around this dumbass dude who got like 7 women pregnant. Dude, that's an L for the men and the women. That shit ain't nothing to be broadcasting or trying to make content off of. Dude, that shit's crazy. You think that brings value towards your group that you're a part of, having some shit going on like that? And when you listen to that guy, did he sound like he gave a fuck about any of that shit that he did? Did that dude sound remorseful about anything that he did at all? No. No. Doesn't sound like it, does it? What's going on, Chuckle? What's going on, Skillmonger? What's going on, D1 Host? But that's the problem. Yeah. You get fired from a job, not your fault. Ultimately, your responsibility to find yourself some other work outside of that. Of course, they're going to fire and get rid of the people that have the most fucking skills. You ain't nobody to manage. They keep around the people who they need to manage. They know it doesn't take a lot of work to actually complete the work. As a lot of these places, they're not stupid. A lot of these people are trying to create a place for themselves, create a false and fake leadership position for themselves that shouldn't be filled, but it is created so that way they can have a place, so that way they can have a voice, so that way they can run away from reality. Yeah, they were. And I gave them the reason and they still didn't give a damn. What's going on, T the Godly? That's what they did for them. They sure did, J. Charles. They sure did benefit. It really showed who the people was and who the people wasn't. That's what the pandemic did. And after the pandemic was over and everybody went back to work, it still showed the people who actually concentrated on women and the people who concentrated on skills and abilities. This shit ain't that hard. It ain't that hard at all. However, it ain't even about the starting point. You can have a better starting point. End up having a failure, don't know how to recover from it, end up destroying your life. When I was homeless, the two times that I was homeless, I met real failures. People who lost real family. People who lost their wives and kids in a car crash and they just never recovered from the shit emotionally. Never recovered from it. Never recovered from it. Again, like putting myself in that situation, going back to it, that shit was my fault. And it was also my responsibility to get up out of there. I had the great story, right? 17 years old, leaving Mississippi, going to the Air Force, getting my shit partially straight. Then why the fuck am I homeless? Why? Kept putting people on who didn't need to be deserve to be on. If this shit is my success, why am I trying to share it with an entire group of people that never helped me get here? Those are lessons that I had to learn myself. I had to learn that it takes a lot of strength to let people lose. It takes a lot of strength to let people lose. Especially when you know that they know better, especially when you give them the better information that they never followed in the first place. It's best to let them lose. Now, there's the other side of it, which I'm going to talk about on Sunday, which when these people know better, but they're not trying to teach people how to get the fuck out of those circumstances, but they want to hang around these people in those circumstances anyway. That's another thing that's bad. But it goes on. And how all of a sudden, like, you know, you go back to these older TV shows, and when you have different cultures of people who are there and they're talking about the work ethic and all that kind of shit, and all of a sudden you have like the person who say, "Oh, woe is me. We have all these problems." I'm like, bro, listen, man, bro, you're making us all look dumb, look weak. People are telling you what they participated in, and the only thing you got was chilling the fuck out, chilling out, wait for somebody else to get it solved, so that way you can go ride their ass all the way to the top. And even if you put those people on, they still damaged and messed up your stuff anyway. What's going on, Bob? Yeah, you're right about that. Most people ain't gonna move for it. That's why they need the comfort of watching these women getting torn out the frame and watching them being upset and unhappy. What's the point of looking at that shit? If you ain't gonna put it on your team, so what's the use of even looking at that? I'm not looking at that. Oh no, I don't want to look at nothing like that. And this is why the O-line space is about pushing trash around for everybody else to look at. Okay, the trash get kicked over here, then the trash get kicked over there. Everybody covers the same story, same bullshit goes on. End of the day, these people ain't even made no moves. Made no moves. Why? They're waiting on this bad version of the community to come ahead, where the unproductive people is going to produce for everybody else within society. Like, dude, that ain't even how that works. It's called LaRock. But this is currently where we at, though. Yeah, a lot of these circumstances he had no control over. No control over. None. No control over. A lot of these people born to immigrant parents, parents came all the way to fuck over here. They had no control over their start. No control over it. Yeah. So a lot of people not socializing to the productivity piece, don't even know about the opportunity that's even there, don't even know about the workforce center. Their parents are not even teaching them. All that shit. Only thing you have to do is give them the information and get the fuck away from them. Because you're gonna see what value system that they wanted to carry to the next generation the moment that they start getting a little bit of money. You're immediately gonna know what they tried to carry to the next generation. You're gonna know that. At the end of the day, you got to be able to manage these choices better. You got to be able to manage these choices way better. Because there is nothing like that regret. Laying on your back in that fucking homeless shelter, knowing that your ass ain't supposed to be there, looking at all the shit that you done fucked up. Yeah, man, that's a very hard look. Very bad look. Very bad. Nobody wants to look at that. What's going on, Paul? What's going on, Wagon Engineer? That's currently where we are at today. It's not your fault, man. But, bro, it becomes ultimately your responsibility. And just like the caption said, you have all the motivation that you need. You have all the motivation that you need right now within your story, within your family. Doesn't matter what your mother or your father's doing, or even if they still here, dude. Your own story should be enough motivation for you not to repeat none of this shit. And yes, a lot of these older individuals have old ass values that don't work right now. Telling you to go get a degree for degree's sake is some dumbass shit right now. You need to go and get to the skills so that way you can get on. But then again, a lot of these people don't want to even give you the simplistic information so that way you can get on. So that way they can maintain a level of dominance within the environment by overwatching so many unproductive people and watching them fail. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's some humbling ass shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I remember the first place I got, I didn't even put no furniture in that shit for an entire year. The only thing I had in that place was a bed. I wanted to make sure that I spent all my time outside of that place versus in it. I wanted to make sure I never went to those circumstances that led up to that. I wanted to make sure that that never happened. Again, that shit was my fault and it was my responsibility to get my ass up out of it. And then I had the problem of trying to help all these dangerous ass motherfuckers who I shouldn't even be giving no choices or chances to. Once I did get my shit together. A lot of times, man, you're just gonna have to deal with professionals. Deal with professionals, get your shit up and running right. With professionals, there's a ton of labor out here on the market. There's no reason to be trying to be finding a certain hue and color of anything. I'll take competence over color. I'll take things working and operating right over color because that's the society that we live in. You can't provide jobs to people that don't respect the work. You can't provide jobs to people like that. Yeah, that's how I was. And that's when I noticed how much time that I was wasting. That's when I noticed that I could be working, listening to a book on tape while everybody else is listening to these dumbass morning shows. I could be skilling up while I'm working. So the time that I spent working was my time still skilling up. And I wasn't trying to divide that time between broken fucking women and my future. I decided to create a life without those people or those problems around. Up front, I had to decide that. To create a life without those people or problems becoming normal lives to me or any of that. I had to make a choice that these people were not coming with me up front before I got started. Strong Brandon Baxter. That's what I'm saying. Yep. Strong Doug. But that's the issue. That's the issue. You have to plan on these people not coming. Because here's the thing. There's a difference between genuine interest and all of a sudden interest. Like most of these people in this environment is pretty much setting you up for all of a sudden interest. They're trying to set you up. They're trying to socialize you into all of a sudden interest. Like when you get your shit together and they need something out of you, that you gotta hang back and hang out with these people. Why? Because they got all of a sudden interest and all of a sudden need for you. That you have to lower yourself to these circumstances that you ain't supposed to be in. Now that stuff don't work, man. That stuff don't work at all. Then you wonder how and the reason why you get used and abused from the people that you were picked up in the all of a sudden interest phase. I understand a lot of these people are tired of being on this market and they will settle for anything. But when you settle for anything, you're going to ruin your whole life the moment you settle for anything. That's your fault. But it comes your responsibility to find better solutions to these problems. These people got there by a specific process. You have to stop letting your life being determined. I mean, straight up being determined by the people who you help get out of their circumstances. I used to remember, like, when I got out of the military, like, once I seen these 20-something-year-old dudes thought that they was doing some shit because they was taking care of 30 and 40-year-old women because they had sexual access to them and they was working their ass off. And the only thing that they got was a piece of ass out of it. And these dumbass dudes thought that they was a man because of it. And it took for this dude to be working his ass off until he actually realized that, hey, wait a minute, I don't have any kids. Why am I going through all this? You're going through all this shit is because you chose to go through it. You chose to go through it rather than getting your own shit together. You chose to go through it because this is the best that you learned at the time. You chose to go through it because you thought this was better than actually finding another way without all these people coming with you. That's a choice. You got to own that shit. But a lot of these people want to define themselves by the hell that they put themselves through for no reason. There is no virtue in putting your own self through hell, my friend. Just so that way you can have a dark skinned fucking child. That's some stupid ass shit. You decided that you want to settle for the first person that you came across and you want to outsource your entire future to that individual, knowing how they've been cultured in this environment to take full advantage of your dumb ass. And then you want to blame the entire planet for it. That doesn't make any sense, man. Sure is. I mean, dude, they teach you in elementary school not to multiply or divide by zero. They teach you that shit very early for a reason. This should have real world implications very quickly. Multiplying and dividing by zero don't get you shit. That's why it's zero. How do you think it is getting your shit together and all of a sudden you put somebody on your team that don't bring shit to you? You done destroy everything that you can work for. Same thing for women. I don't expect to make a bullshit choice in men because that's what's out there. Fuck that. But a lot of these dudes want to be turned to as a solution to the problem. And if they don't get on, then they're just gonna complain about the women until a good woman shows up. Not how it works. A lot of these people just don't have marketable circumstances. And rather than getting to the productivity piece and moving on to better people, they want the other half to accept a lesser deal, which is crazy. They didn't need the productivity piece before, but they damn sure need it now. There's a lot of people out here who want to build their whole life around the disrespect of women that they show men within the society. Yes, they have the ball at the beginning of the game. You're supposed to be working to make sure that when it's your time to play, that you play for keeps, you play in a disciplined manner, and that you generally try to be better than everybody else within the same environment. And you have to be able to keep separating from those who don't fit you, who don't fit the circumstances. How many times have you seen the space shuttle take off? Space shuttle takes off, they need all of these tanks of fuel. But once they reach a certain velocity, those actual fuel tanks are supposed to split off because they don't carry the capacity to make the thing move anymore. Then all of a sudden you see the space shuttle by itself, not needing any type of propulsion system to keep going after those fuel tanks have expired. A lot of people want to carry all of those tanks with them, even though that they're empty, before they reach escape velocity. All that stuff you want to carry around with you before you reach escape velocity. Well, you could clearly be enjoying yourself because you put yourself in that position. Waiting on these individuals to be better is not going to work. That ain't it, Chief. It is not going to work. It is your responsibility to get up out of this situation. Your responsibility. Don't shy away from the history. A lot of lessons are learned in history. A lot of them that your ass is repeating right now. Not moving to the money, not skilling up, staying stagnant in the job, trying to put the wrong type of women first, trying to keep these dumbass friends in your life for longer than they need to be, not hanging out in the right places, not making the right connections. All of this stuff has nothing to do with intelligence. There's choice here, and choice have outcomes. You don't have to have a high ass IQ to have good ass outcomes. You don't need that. You got to stop thinking that you need a better start. No, you need to take better actions right now, today. You need to hang around better people right now, today. That is how that ultimately is going to work out for you. A lot of these people want to be at the bottom. Why? Nothing's at stake at the bottom. Nothing's at stake. Now you have people who are showing up here who's showing you just how crazy it is to stay at the bottom. They don't like that. They don't like that. These people are not spending 8, 9 hours overnight being on live streams talking about women that they don't want to produce for. They're not doing that shit. Those people are getting right to the money, right to the circumstances, going right to the manufacturer where they make the product that they want. They're not trying to live out this whole phase. They're not acting like they owed some type of whole phase because everybody else got one. And they're getting up out of here. They're doing the right thing with the opportunity of America that people who live here don't even take advantage of. Then you want to get mad at them for doing it right in your face. What's going on, Hope? Yeah, what's going on, Garfield Lawson? But that's where we at today, man. This is the next stage. This is the next stage. This is the next stage of this conversation. After you done left the women the fuck alone, after you done left people who are not moving the fuck alone, after you decided that you're going to put yourself in a better stratus, this is the next level of the conversation. The doing part. But you gotta want to be responsible for the outcome of this shit. I can't wait to be responsible for choosing my own shit. A lot of that stuff I didn't get to choose. A lot of it I didn't get to choose. But I wanted to make sure when it was my time to choose that I can make the best choices that I possibly can. And nobody can argue with the results. And the people who do want to argue, they want to argue my results because I didn't include a certain group of people with me. They wanted to argue my results because I didn't put everything on my team that would sabotage my ability to maintain what I got. That's where the argument came from. The argument came from, well, you didn't do this under this rare Xbox achievement level nonsense. What's going on, Truth as I know it? Excellent channel. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. I remember that video you put out a couple years ago about we gotta slay dragons. Yeah, I remember that video. But this is currently where we are, man, bro. It ain't a lot of people who want to move forward. A lot of people want to feel better about where they at. A lot of people made these choices and they made a mess of everything. They made a mess of everything. Can they come out and really say that? No, they can't come out and say that. Wanna know why they can't come out and say that? Because it is a whole indictment of who they are as a person. Yes, it becomes an indictment on who you are as a person. Failing for no reason. When you know better options are out there. It becomes an indictment on you, everything that you've ever done. Your refusal to look at the history, your refusal to take things more seriously. It becomes an indictment that people don't want to look at. Only thing you have to do is take that hard ass look in the mirror just one time, make all the correct choices and decisions, and get up out of there. So that way you ain't got to keep looking in this mirror, or better yet, dodging looking in this mirror and keep making the same dumbass mistakes over and over again. A lot of these people are trying to turn themselves into 304 bait. They're trying to bait in the wrong type of women and then try to change those women into something else. That's what these dudes are on around here. That's why they can't talk about anything else. This is the only thing that they can talk about because their actual masculinity, their piping system runs through the redemption arc. They got to be cornered to do what's simply their responsibility. They got to be cornered off into a situation where there's nowhere but up to do what up is. They know what these situations are. They're not that dumb. They understand these things. You're not going to hold the country hostage, man, because these businesses are going to get this work done with you or without you. Today, they're offering these skills and abilities. There's going to be so many people over here who have skilled up past these people that it doesn't even matter if they offer the stuff or not. These people are going to be and build generations of generational wealth right around you. Think about it. So what you stay off the field for a couple years and you concentrate on you? So what that you don't holler at 1,000 bitches a day or a week or a month or a year? So what if you don't go to all these parties and all these things that everybody else is going to? Just to focus on yourself. So what? You're going to be in a better position. Overall, you're going to be in a better position. And once you get in that position, you're going to wonder where all the time went. You're going to have so much time on your hands, you're not going to know what to do with it. Rather than trying to hang out with this person or that person or try to go to the club Friday through Sunday or Thursday through Sunday, once you got some shit to lose that you don't want to give up very easily, and once you have yourself centered in a way to where you have control over the trajectory of your life, you're not going to want to let that go. You're not going to want to give it up over nonsense. You're just not going to want to. When you stay away from these bullshit conversations and circumstances for a while and you start to climb up this hill and having your stuff together, you're going to come back around, you're going to peep your head in, you're going to see, man, look, ain't none of this stuff changed, and I'm out of here. I used to do the same thing. Once I stayed away from all this stuff, yeah, I used to pop in, check out the local paper, seeing all the people getting killed, seeing all the people going through the same circumstances, seeing these people going through the same thing. I'm like, damn, I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I got it. Call down there, talk to some people. Yeah, man, no, no, no. One day I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm like, bro, listen, man, bro, the time to get up out of there was years ago, years ago, years ago. Should have been out of there years ago. Didn't want to leave. Yeah, the same people that claim game work. If game work with uncultured women, then how come you can't game them in the higher test scores? You got all the game in the world, but you ain't got no outcomes to go with the game that you got. Oh, okay. All right, man. All right, man. But the problem is, checking for you, that they keep trying to bring a whole bunch of this stuff with them that don't belong because too much of their time has been spent around those people. And what they can't do is they cannot move on to a better classification because they want to make all the time that they spent at the bottom count for something. When all the time that you spent at the bottom counts for nothing. That's the true part of it. You may learn some lessons about work ethic and all that kind of stuff, but all in all, that stuff is a wash. That stuff is a wash. Don't worry about it. This is all they're capable of. That's why they run the same system online. They're like a lint roller. You ever took a lint roller and ran that lint roller across some grass? How much bullshit is on that lint roller? That's what they are. Lint rollers. They're trying to get everybody stuck into having these bullshit level conversations and worrying about all these superstars that don't give a damn about you and caring about these sports figures that also don't give a damn about you rather than fixing your own stuff, which is the best game in town. The most interesting story is your own story. The most interesting story in the world to you should be how much time you put into making sure that these circumstances don't happen to anybody else under your household. That is the only story that you should be worried about. You shouldn't be trying to hunt down the news cycle and hunt down pain. Hunt down pain to talk about. Hunt down pain to transmute into views. Hunt down pain for those reasons. I tell you right now, straight up, I don't want nothing to do with it. What's going on, man? Yeah, that's where we currently are, folks. Look around. There ain't nobody trying to move up, man. Everybody's trying to move in. They're trying to move into these preset complaints. They're trying to deal with these people with these preset complaints. Why? It's easy. They wanted an easier time. They wanted an easier time, so they decided to stay at the bottom. A lot of my friends are finding out right now. They done had that kid very early. The kid's about 25, 26 years old. They finally out of their child support hole. Now they're acting like they're 18 years old. Finally able to leave the city and go somewhere else and experiment because now they can afford to do so. 25 years it took for these dudes to recover from having that out of wedlock child. These people are 40 something years old having the mind state of an 18-year-old. Why they had to produce every single way that they was on the planet? To dodge going to jail for having that kid in the first place. Not your fault. It's your responsibility to learn the history of the things around you. Because I can guarantee you, you got people in your family who did the same exact thing and it did not net them any type of outcome that was positive. You shouldn't be going through these things, man. Bro, you should be way past these issues. Yep. I did hear about that. But that's that dumbass dude's fault. Yeah, she gonna get a free attorney and go get some money up out of him. That's what's gonna happen. Not noticing. But that's where we currently are. We're currently in a situation where these people are putting themselves in situations that they don't need to put themselves in for no reason. You expect everybody to treat you way better than you treat yourself, man, you crazy. That shit ain't gonna never happen. It's never gonna happen. You gotta understand how important this shit is, man, to never go through these complaints again. To never want to hear this shit. Like, dude, once I log off of this shit, dude, I don't even think about most of this YouTube shit. I don't even do it. I don't even do it. I let these people stay where they are, and that's just it. I get more emails about pointing out people's bullshit than there is about the correct things that I say. That's fucked up. A lot of people don't want me pointing out the bullshit that other people be on. Why? They like those people. They like being over there. They like being stuck. They like being stagnant. They like being dragged around. They love being gaslit about these issues. They love the fact that this woman don't fucking want them and they want to be there while she don't want them. They love that shit. That's what I'm saying. This stuff is optional at this point. Optional. Optional. This is optional for you to go through this. Optional for you to go through this. Optional. You can go straight out of this shit, or you can draw as many lines, squiggly lines that you want to, and you can keep going through it. The world doesn't the world doesn't respond well to people who don't get it. They don't respond very well to that. I do agree with you, Roger Spice. They 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 do like that punishment. Oh man, it is. It is. Begging her to forgive herself from the shit that she put herself through. And you're gonna put your whole life on hold to be around the worst of the worst group of fucking women. You want those women to apologize. That's why you tune in to Kevin Samuels. So that way you can watch the worst of the women be humbled. So that way they can turn around and choose your dumb ass. That's what the fuck you was hanging around there for. Because that's what was happening. That's what was happening. If the platform was really about getting with decent fucking women, he would have brought decent women the fuck on. But that wouldn't have brought no views, now would it? There's a lot wrong with these people that's not going to be fixed by access to a woman that don't want you, that don't need you, who all their bets are covered by the government. Your bets are not covered at all. The bets go from the government to your dumb ass once you start fucking with her. The government can't wait to not pay for these issues. They love to push these issues on your dumb ass. The only thing you got to do is just sign your dumb ass up for it. Free consequences. Yes, he did. Everybody who wanted to go to the gas chamber. Yes, he did. And had he would have lived longer, there ain't no telling how many more men he would have led to that bullshit too. There's no telling how many men he would have led off that cliff. There's no telling. Had these people going around thinking that the only thing they had to do was call themselves a high value man in the world fell at your feet. It's fucking crazy. Dude, if you have value, you need to keep that shit to yourself. Once you start pronouncing that your ass is any type of value, that's when the vultures come out. Yes, that's when the vultures come out. Once you tell them that you got some shit they want, that's when the vultures come out for you. Yes, sir. That ain't nothing that you need to be doing. You need to be keeping your value to yourself. You need to be keeping the places where you travel and have fun to yourself. Because all of a sudden, your place where you get to chill at is going to get overran by people who shouldn't be there in the first place. That's what I'm saying. They don't need you. Oh, it will. The moment you get done with that, because you must be going to a community college to be getting that type of heavy equipment shit, because don't nobody really teach that anywhere. Yeah, once you get done, once you gonna get on, and the moment that you get on, you don't loop back around and put one of these zeros on your team. That's what a lot of people do because they got their self-esteem caught up in now I got my shit together. Now I can pay for these consequences of these actions like these unproductive people. Nope, that ain't it, chief. No, sir. You separate and you stay gone. You find better people with someone else. You find somebody with someone that has something equally to lose than you do. That's what you team up with. You don't sit there and go through nonsense because everybody else is going through it. No, sir. No, absolutely not. Do not do that to yourself. Next thing you know, 2 or 3 years from now, you could be at quarter million, $300,000 a year doing the same job you're doing right now, or gonna be making six figures in a couple years doing. That's a natural progression of things once you got your CDL, man. Natural progression of things. You're under no obligation to share that with anybody who didn't help you get that stuff. No obligation whatsoever. But that's where we're currently at. Well, I gotta be able to get some food up in me. So I want to thank you guys for coming through. This individual that needed some help with this particular situation. Yeah, man, all that shit that happened to you, dude, that should give you all the motivation in the world to make sure that your life is straight. You're not gonna take your younger brothers and sister with you. Like, dude, that ain't even how that works. We already know most households only have one or two people that really get it if they're not socialized through it. There's only one or two people that get it per household. And once you get your ass up there, you're going to realize how small the world is. You're going to realize how small the actual world is. The moment you get your ass up there, you're going to realize that low ass percentage that you are, the people that you work with are low ass percentages where they are at too. The only thing is, it's just less of you than it is them. You're both in the same circumstances. The only thing that's worse about their circumstances is they got kids and a family and mortgage and car payments and college to pay for and all this other shit. You ain't got none of that. You ain't got none of that. None of that. And it's time to understand and learn how valuable that stuff is. Yeah, dude. Behavior toward a bad product don't make the product better. It doesn't. Like I said, man, like these women are doing you a favor of telling you that they unfuckwittable. They're telling you this shit up front. They're telling you that they don't know how to manage options, that they don't know how to respect men, that they don't know how to respect the productivity piece, that they're attracted to bullshit and swag. Like, dude, they're doing you a favor. They are doing you a favor. They're doing you a favor. They're doing you a favor. There is absolutely no rationale of failing when you have all the answers up front. There's no reason for that. No reason for failing. No reason for it. But hey, if that's what you want to do, then I can't stop you. But this is the next level of the conversation, man. And I want to thank you guys for coming through. We got to be able to fix our own issues. You can't expect women to come fix your own issues. You can't expect people not in your own circumstances to fix your own issues. You got to fix your own issues. No one else is coming. And trying to dodge fixing your own issues to worrying about what the woman is doing is some straight up hoe shit. That ain't got nothing to do with your path. Her path is already cleared by the government. And you cannot wait for the government to invest in you like they invest in her. That shit's never going to happen. You got to live in the modern era, man. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for coming through on the Man Tomorrow. Make sure y'all like the video. Upon leaving, you guys have a really nice rest of y'all night, man. Peace. You're correct. They are building a better reason resistant bitch ass nigga. That's what they are doing. They're building a better reason resistant bitch ass nigga. That's exactly what they're doing. All these content creators are leveraging male pain. Keep that in mind. They're leveraging male pain. It doesn't matter the way you look at it, they're just leveraging the same product. As long as you understand that, you can just walk away from the actual thing that they're leveraging. And that's how come don't nobody else in traditional entertainment even respect these people because they know there's some goddamn bottom feeders. They know that shit. They know it for certain. So with that said, you guys have a really nice rest of y'all night. Peace.